This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
Well, times they are changing. You may have heard that they are working to get rid of the penny.
No way.
It is a phase of life. No way. It is a phase of...
Well, what political party has already jumped up to say, no, this is wrong, you need to change it? No, we can't get rid of the penny. It is a cultural icon for penny people.
Abraham Lincoln's face.
The penny. Yeah. It's the Save Abraham Lincoln Foundations be like, no, this is sacrilege. You can't do that. Hold on. Why are they getting rid of the penny?
Here's the story. It apparently takes 2 cents to make every one penny. And John, that just doesn't make sense.
Did Doge figure that out?
Come on.
Did Doge figure that out?
You messed up my joke. I was waiting all day to tell you that joke.
Oh, really? You even had the rim shot ready.
I was real excited. Just don't make sense, John. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to deep dive into things that don't make sense financially, politically. We're not doing that because that's not what we're here for.
Let's don't do it politically because we don't have that much time.
There's not enough time in this life.
In a lifetime. Correct.
In this century. Yeah. This is Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital, financial advisor. I'm Heather Branch here with John to do the deep dive on the things that you can control when it comes to your retirement, the future that you want to live out, the years ahead, taking the nest egg that you've worked so hard to build and now making that nest egg work for you in this next phase of life. RetirementSolutionsShow.com is our website and where you can go to start the conversation with John and his team. We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can just click there. So remember when we were growing up, the little dishes at every gas station or the CVS, it was need a penny, take a penny, have a penny, leave a penny. You know, the little... Sure. When was the last time you needed a penny?
I cannot actually remember.
That's right. Kyle and I, my husband and I, we were walking through a park where there was a water fountain, and I said to him, I was like, oh, let's throw a coin in the fountain for good luck. And I pulled a penny out, and he was like, how do you even have a penny? Where did you even get this?
I know. So if you go to Europe, if you use a public restroom, you're supposed to put any coin. They don't have a whatever. You just put any coin in there.
Yeah.
Well, I just happened to, all my coins in my pocket were like 4 and 5 pound coins or whatever they have in England.
They got you.
And so I was like, man, it's like $5 just to
use the
go to the loo,
the men's room.
That seems a little excessive. But that I can't be the guy, the American.
Don't be that guy
walks out and doesn't put the coin in. So I remembered that next time I need to take some old pennies.
Well. Know that every penny you spend, there was 2 pennies that worked to make that penny.
That made that happen.
And so this is the driver behind getting rid of the penny. One, nobody uses them or needs them. They are expensive to make. And it's not, unlike investment strategies and ideas or just thought process that a lot of people have when it comes to retirement savings. I mean, you unpack these things all the time for folks. Things that don't make sense, outdated ideas, outdated strategies that are sitting within somebody's portfolio. Do you not?
Well, it happens all the time. I mean, there are 3 or 4 things that I run to all the time. Okay. And I'm not saying that they're archaic. I'm not saying they should be eliminated, but they don't make a ton of sense in today's world. Number 1 are expensive mutual funds, especially like proprietary mutual funds. Like if you look at, and I'm just saying these, I'm not giving any positive or negative about them, but if you look at like a Merrill Lynch blah, blah, blah fund or a named brokerage house fund, mutual fund, they're typically very expensive. They often underperform indexes or things like Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard. But here's the craziest thing. Mutual funds are very tax inefficient, and you cannot really control your loss structure in those. Now, those have been outdated for a while. And frankly, I think I've said on the show for probably the last decade, if you've saved over $500,000, you probably should be looking at exchange-traded funds, ETFs. ETFs is what they are. They're great ones out there, right? So they're very inexpensive companies to use. BlackRock, Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity, all of them have good ones. But if you look at how they operate, they allow you to, number 1, control your downside because you can have hedges or stops, or you can help put little things in there to help control your downside if you choose to do that. Now, the other thing is that you can sell them and have tax favoritism. You cannot do that with a mutual fund. I cannot tell you, as a matter of fact, I saw there was a couple that came in a few months ago, and they had several $1 million of mutual funds that they had in taxable accounts. So these weren't in IRAs or Roths, they were just in taxable accounts. And they were like, we had done so well on these. And to be honest, they had done fine. They'd done around 8.5%. By most stretches of the imagination, that wasn't bad. But their tax bill, and they didn't realize this because they didn't use a CPA. They just went to the local place and had their taxes done. They didn't realize that a great percentage of their tax bill was because those mutual funds were tax inefficient and they were paying phantom taxes, phantom income taxes on mutual funds. They weren't even taking any income.
Okay.
And they were like, oh my gosh, is that why we've had this big tax bill? I'm like, well, I don't know how big it's been historically. But yeah, that's the case. So people that have mutual funds, especially if you have them in taxable accounts, guys, you really need to sit down with a skilled fiduciary that understands the tax side and find out how can you unravel that. You can do tax loss harvesting. You can do tax gain harvesting. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal so that if you want to go ahead and eliminate a position, you can go ahead and sell some of these things if you're in a lower tax bracket than the next generation. So these things happen all the time, but it requires some planning. We have to understand if we're going to unpack those things so that you can save a fortune in the long run in taxes.
Yeah.
We need to understand what the pros and the cons are, right?
Before we move on, I just wanted you to, can you quickly explain what phantom taxes are?
Yeah. So if you own a mutual fund, whether it lost money that year or made money that year, inside of a mutual fund, they have their own tax entity. So you may actually have to pay taxes even if you lost money on that mutual fund.
Okay.
2022 was a perfect year.
Got it.
2022, the average mutual fund lost somewhere between 12 and 18 to 20%. Well, even though it lost money, many of those people that own those mutual funds had to pay taxes even though they lost money, because that mutual fund made exchanges on the inside that you're liable for. See, that's the crazy part. That is phantom taxes. Okay. And the reason it's phantom, you didn't get anything out of that. You had 100,000 and now you've only got 85,000. You lost money. How can you owe taxes? But you do. As a matter of fact, in that case, $100,000, you may only have $85,000 by the end of the year. You still may have gotten a tax bill for $5,200 in that case, which is crazy, right? And it happens all the time. Okay. So just understand. So mutual funds and taxable accounts, unbelievably outdated. Look at variable annuities too, right? And I'm not saying look at them positively. Right. I want you to, if you own a variable annuity, and again, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't mean the guy that you had 20 years ago did anything wrong, but they are unbelievably expensive to own. Now, there are some out there that are institutional grade and they're dirt cheap, but I rarely, if ever, see those things out there. But if you have a variable annuity, the cost in that thing is unbelievably high. And if you did it because you wanted to defer taxes, there are so many other opportunities you have to defer taxes and not have those fees. The average variable annuity in America has a cost of between 2.75 and 3.5%. Wow. Guys, that is highway robbery. You know, I typically say when you're dealing with an advisor, dealing with investment, it'd be nice to be 1% all in, or less. In a perfect world. So when you're thinking that is 2.5 to 3 times the cost, and that's just for the variable annuity, that has nothing to do with if you're paying an advisor on top of that. Guys, that's crazy. So if you have variable annuities, you just want to assess those. There are so many other things that are out there that are more attractive.
You're not stuck in them. You can trade out on a new, listen, I'm not the advisor here, so don't take what I'm saying, as gospel, but there are options. You're not stuck in an annuity. So if you have a variable annuity, let's take a look at it and see if we can do better. If you have any type
of annuity that stinks, the laws have changed so much. There's so much evolution in things. There are very few things that if they're not good for you, there are very few things you can't get out of. You just need to know the pros and the cons, right? Yeah. There could be a tax effect. There could be a little bit of a surrender charge or a fee to get out. There could be some form of a penalty. You may not be able to keep all the gains. Those things are things that we have to navigate through. But it's much better, in my opinion, even if you have to pay a 2 or 3% hit, if you're stuck in something that's going to cost you 3% a year, right? If you stayed in it for the next 3 years, it's going to cost you 3, 6, 9% to stay in, or maybe it only costs you 1 or 2% to get out. And again, I don't like people paying fees to get out of anything. Right. But those are just those things that you want to assess. If you have it and you've stayed in it because you don't want to pay a fee, just do the math, right? Always do the math. So those are two big ones. And another one that I see all the time, especially as we get a little bit older, people that have these outdated insurance policies, right? So they've been paying on these things forever and ever and ever. And frankly, they're never going to use it. It's not going to be a benefit to them. Do you just want to look at those? How much are you really paying? Because usually as we age, it keeps getting more expensive. Well, there's a couple times that I've seen where people are paying a lot of premiums and the death benefit is nearly the same as what they've already put into the policy, right? So you just want to look at some of those things too. And again, if you have a good quality advisor, they should be able to look at all those things. It's not about selling you something different. It's just about doing an assessment. Does it make sense to keep paying $289 a month if you expected to have another 20 years of your life to only have a $25,000 policy? Maybe not, right? So those are three big ones that I think are things that people should really look at, consider. And again, just get a second opinion from a skilled fiduciary. Not all fiduciary advisors are created equally, right? All of us have completely different thought processes, different philosophies, different skill sets, different education levels. So you just want to make sure that if you want someone that focuses on taxation and wealth transfer and growth and income, that you find someone that actually does that.
Jon and his team, that's what they're doing every single day and working to help their clients. They can help you as well. So let's begin the conversation. You can visit us at retirementsolutionshow.com to start the second opinion process on your savings and investments. As Jon was pointing out, it's just so much more than just stocks and 401ks. There are so many different things that could be hiding within your plan that are wasting your money. But at J. Hagan Capital, they want to help uncover those areas and show you ways that you might be able to do better. So let's start the conversation. You can click on the links we've also got posted in the show notes or visit us anytime, retirementsolutionshow.com.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through J. Hagan Capital, LLC, NPN number 1882794.